I've tried not to bore you by talking about Harry and Meghan because it's everywhere and it's endless. It never seems to stop, does it? Harry now saying he's got yet another book in him, and hey, we got Meghan's book to come as well. But this incident over Jeremy Clarkson has revealed something very, very interesting. Now, look, Jeremy Clarkson, all right, he's made his name being a controversialist over the years. He's written over 5,000 newspaper columns. The particular one that he wrote in The Sun was pretty ill-advised. What he said about Meghan was unpleasant, even if he was just trying to draw an analogy with Game of Thrones. But it wasn't good and it wasn't great. And unsurprisingly, he's been forced into a mega fulsome.
Nigel Farage didn't hold back when discussing the potential arrest of Jeremy Clarkson. In this tense moment for Britain, Farage, known for his strong opinions and unwavering stance, quickly came to the former presenter's defense. He didn't require many words. His passion and determination were evident. Always ready for a heated debate, Farage wasted no time in voicing his position. This was more than just a defense of Clarkson. It was a powerful rallying cry for freedom of speech and the right for everyone to express their views without fear. He has built his career on boldly challenging established norms and viewed this incident as a direct assault on the fundamental principles of free expression, particularly regarding prominent figures like Clarkson. His voice carried not only support, but also profound concern for the future of free speech in society.
Part of that, of course, is because he's being threatened with being cancelled by Amazon. But the response to Jeremy Clarkson tells you everything you need to know about Harry and Meghan, and it gives a big, big lesson, I think, for the King. So the response to the apology that comes from Harry and Meghan is, sorry, that's not good enough, because they say he has been spreading conspiracy theories, he has been spreading misogyny, and here's the key, he has been spreading hate. This is what the left always do. They always accuse people of spreading hate. Organisations spring up using the name hate. Actually, the truth of it is, the most hateful people are those who accuse others of hate.
However, it wasn't solely about the arrest. It represented a genuine struggle for justice, particularly for ordinary individuals whose voices were stifled by the government's harsh actions. Farage, fueled by his natural passion and resolve, made it clear that he would not allow this to go unnoticed. His remarks resonated across social media and public gatherings, reaching millions who echoed his profound disappointment and concern. Farage wasn't alone in his outcry. Other prominent figures, including Elon Musk, also participated in this significant conversation, highlighting the chaos and injustice prevailing in the UK under Keir Starmer's leadership.
They will not accept Clarkson's apology. They want him totally and utterly destroyed, as they do anybody with a different view on the world to their own woke West Coast outlook on things. And this just shows you how unpleasant, how nasty, how destructive they really are. And here's the big lesson. The big lesson is the King's coronation is coming up. There's a huge amount of speculation that the King should have a peace summit, should get everyone round the table and find a way of striking a compromise so that Harry and Meghan can come to the coronation and so that Harry doesn't write another book.
This policy didn't merely spark discontent, it ignited a wave of mass protest among farmers throughout the UK, and there were entirely valid reasons for this. The farming community, already beleaguered by rising costs, unpredictable weather, and demanding labor, faced new and unjust challenges that left many furious. Farage and Clarkson, along with others, viewed this as a harsh blow to hard-working families who have been battling for the survival of their farms, their land, and the future of their children for generations.
This is not just about tax. It's about solar farms, it's about bonkers net zero policy, it's about rewilding, it's about everything that's been done over the last few years. And it feels to these people that the urban elite doesn't give a damn who they are, doesn't like them either, thinks they're too white and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely think that if this carries on as it is, the smallholders survive, the giant agribusinesses survive, and all these people get wiped out. It's important.
What about all the farmers Who voted for Brexit? And now, look,
50-50.
they're reaping the whirlwand of that choice, aren't they? Because
Well,
they've
we
lost
were
the cap
spending-
payments, and now they're having to deal with
Thank you, Brussels. We love you.
Well, maybe
they're
they're having buyer's remorse, Nigel.
We were spending £6 billion a year on agricultural money, 3 billion of it in France. We're not giving it to them anymore. We've got it to spend ourselves, and we're in charge of our own policy.
Farmers in the UK have gone far too long without receiving the wages they rightfully deserve. They are burdened by their labour and remain undervalued despite being the backbone of a nation that feeds its people and maintains its beautiful landscapes. When the Starmer government announced the introduction of an inheritance tax, it felt like a harsh betrayal to those who have fought for their rights and dignity for years. At the protest, Farage and Clarkson stood together against this unjust policy, emphasizing that it would impact the very individuals who sustain UK agriculture. The message was clear and resonated deeply with everyone present. This is not a tax on the wealthy, as some have suggested, but a harsh burden on hard-working families striving to preserve their farms for future generations, for their children and grandchildren.
I'm pleased to be the first Labour leader in 30 years to be here in Barrow to make a very strong commitment to the work that they're doing. The triple lock, which is to support the Dreadnought submarines that we've seen this morning. I've actually been in the Dreadnought this morning to see it as it's being made, to make that commitment to the continuous at-sea deterrent and to the upgrades, which to the workforce here is very important because they know that this is a generational commitment. So my support for the deterrent as a cornerstone of our defence and to NATO is absolutely unshakable.
With each new speech, Farage and his supporters heightened the stakes, increasing the pressure on Keir Starmer like never before. The UK began to sense it was on the brink of something significant, transcending mere political manoeuvring to encompass the fundamental right of everyone to express their opinions freely, without fear or intimidation. Farage didn't just lend his verbal support to Clarkson, he took to the streets, where his presence truly mattered, actively participating in protests. These demonstrations erupted in response to the highly contentious inheritance tax introduced by the Starmer government, which harshly targeted farmers and their families. Farage, deeply committed to supporting the rural economy, quickly recognized the importance of this struggle, understanding that it was not solely about financial issues, but also about dignity and justice.
Labour's attack on farms is quite extraordinary. Land values have gone through the roof as billionaires have bought up vast amounts of land to avoid inheritance tax. But what about the small farmer? You know, the farm with 200 acres, whatever it may be, that now has a land value of millions, and yet they'll be lucky to make 30 or 50 grand a year working damned hard out of it. Labour's plans mean that farmland will have to be sold, that family farms will get broken up. Why are they doing it? Well, here's the clue.
Farage's presence at the protest alongside Clarkson has emerged as a powerful symbol of the overlooked voices of rural Britain. Both men asserted firmly that the government can no longer ignore the struggles of farmers who work tirelessly to feed the nation, and their suffering must not be overlooked. Farage was not alone in defending Jeremy Clarkson. Farage tried to leave the country, but Clarkson was object to be brought back to England, where he would testify before the American Senate Business Committee and be declared a witness to the acts of violence his common. Unafraid to advocate for free speech, Musk, known for his candid and bold opinions, quickly took to Twitter to deliver a scathing critique of Keir Starmer's actions and the political climate in the UK, challenging the very foundations of democracy. Musk's involvement added a new dimension to the situation, transforming it from a local issue concerning Clarkson and Farage into a global conversation about the right to free expression and the importance of being heard in a world where the voices of ordinary people are often drowned out.
Good evening. I think somebody in the Treasury got their sums wrong when they were advising the Chancellor Rachel Reeves. You see, the Labour government say it's not a problem. 75% of farms just won't be affected by these new inheritance tax rules. And yet the National Farmers Union themselves say it will be at least 2/3.
I have to say, my conclusion on all of this is the small farmer, somebody running 5 or 10 acres, a smallholder basically, will be fine. The giant agribusinesses, they'll be fine as well. It's the people in the middle that simply won't be fine.
Thousands of protesters braved the pouring rain and biting cold to vocally express their discontent. Their demonstration was not merely a protest against the tax, it was a heartfelt outcry against the significant disconnect between the government and the harsh realities of rural life. Farage, fervently committed to advocating for farmers' rights, found a strong ally in Clarkson, who emerged as a symbol of the fight for British farmers' interests. Through his shows and public appearances, Clarkson worked to communicate their struggles and aspirations to the wider public. Together, they became the voice for those who had long been in the shadows, striving to bring about positive change.
A privileged status for their farms, and I think that may or may not be right. I'm personally in favour of doing to farmers who want to go on the streets, we can do to them what Margaret Thatcher did to the miners.
So just to be clear, John, you would beat them up?
No, close them. I mean, this is an industry we could do without.
So, okay, all right. So this got weird. So you would do to farmers what Margaret Thatcher did to miners, which was, and she used very heavy-handed police tactics, followed by what? Putting them out of business.
If people are so upset that they want to go on the streets and spray slurry on them, then we don't need the small farmers.
Right. Okay, John. I'm not sure that's a particular. You were, just to clarify, you were a former Labour special advisor, possibly emphasis on the word former there. But just to go on.
So that's it. Class war.
The British government, led by Keir Starmer, found itself under intense scrutiny from the global community. Farage and Musk openly expressed their dissatisfaction, placing immense pressure on Starmer to provide a clear justification for his actions. What initially appeared to be a localized issue surrounding Clarkson's arrest has now transformed into a symbol of the worldwide fight for personal freedom and against the encroachment of state control. Starmer's leadership faced significant criticism, particularly for his controversial decision to implement an inheritance tax targeting farmers. What are your thoughts on this video? Share your opinions in the comments. See you next time.